Jason.
Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, I
Oh,
gotta tell you,
much.
I'm a fan of the domain name. So
Let's see, which one, Domainy?
yeah, domainate.com. Whenever I saw it, it's like as soon as you see it, you first think dominate. And I was like, who the hell owns dominate.com? And then I saw domainate, dominate, and I was like, okay, that's cool. We have a software company called Smarter without an E. So I'm always a fan of misspelling shit.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny. We had domain and the number 8.com. It was actually the first one we had. And then we just I think we got it spelled out, the number 8 spelled out, and then realized, oh yeah, like domain 8, and then just using it as a verb, basically like it I don't know, it made sense. So so yeah, so it was interesting. I was looking at all the stuff you're doing and saw we're pretty similar in that we've got a lot of sites and a lot of brands. So I mean, you've got Smarter kind of running throughout them, but I saw your different Smarter sites, and then what was the other one? The one I just came across, I think Build Your Brand or Build Any Brand. There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so it's interesting seeing what all you're doing. Uh, so yeah, like what obviously, I mean, it sounds like you're kind of looking for, anyone who might be, there might be sort of like partnership opportunities just in general to potentially, it's like kind of uh, see what people need and what they do and what they offer and all that. So what, I guess, around what you're doing now, what kind of partnerships do you look for, or what in general, like, I don't know, like, what sort of businesses are you doing business with predominantly?
I got you. Yeah, right now my main focus is content. I've been doing a lot of PR and a lot of work for companies in the background for many, many years. And now I'm really kind of getting in control of my own content because even though I'm very proud of this like 12-year track record that you can follow of me online, and like on my website we have a bunch of consolidated media. And even though I'm like very proud of that, anytime someone calls me to go on their show, it's because they read a book or they read an article or they heard me on another show, and then they have some preconceived reasoning for why they want me to go on their show and talk to their audience. And so like at this point, man, like I'm I'm so focused on a couple of winners in our portfolio, and I'm building this renewable energy project, and so I was starting a podcast, and now that podcast is going to be a Roku and Apple TV channel and all that stuff. So what I'm doing right now, brother, is I'm taking 2 hours out of every day, and I am allotting time to have conversations, because at the end of the day, all of my success that I've ever had has always just been based off of deep conversations with other people. And whenever I went into that, I started off in that founders and funders group. Uh, that's the only active group that I'm in on Facebook. Like I'm in other groups, but they're to look for classic cars that I like to rebuild. But out of in the very beginning of the year, I went in that group and I made a post. And a bunch of people saw that we owned an investment firm and they just jumped all over me with me, 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 me. And so I made this very, very honest post, and a lot of people got mad, which is fine with me. But whenever I made that post, I ended up making like 15 different business relationships just from that group. And they all started just because I was willing to get on the call with them and talk to them about whatever. And so yeah, man, this time I was just doing that again. Like right now, I'm at this point in my life where I'm collecting good content, and I want to see how I can help other people. And the only reason why I say that, brother, is, and you might have experience with this, like we're just now starting our relationship. Most people can't help you do anything. Most people are like out there to make money for themselves, and they have they don't really have the ability to help you beyond whatever. And so a lot of times people will get on a call with you and they'll be like, "Oh, I can help you with that. I can help you with that." And it's like, at the end of the day, what does somebody follow through on? So I like to look at what are people really good at and then help them be really better at that rather than trying to teach somebody a whole bunch of new skills and a whole bunch of shit that they might not ever learn or adapt to or whatever. And it's made me kind of successful to this day. So, what
Awesome.
about you, man? What are you doing?
So, to give, I guess, brief overview. So I'm kind of like you in terms of how we've got a lot of different brands and stuff all around. The sort of flagship thing that we've been doing the last over 10 years has been a digital marketing agency called Front Space. We work predominantly with subject matter experts, so like authors, coaches, consultants, speakers, etc. Just build and grow online, and often dealing with a lot of like tech help and assistance. Especially with connecting systems together. Automating their marketing and all that. Ultimately, we look to try to help our clients be able to focus on their zone of expertise and doing what they enjoy and what they're good at, and us basically handling most if not all the rest, in terms of kind of operating things and helping them grow. uh, most of our clients came in through referrals, and they've been our clients for several years. So we've always been kind of like almost kind of like business partners for them in a sense. But I mean, we're it's an agency and just kind of help them do anything that they need. And you know we've basically been we came about because we were launching our own online courses and group coaching programs and all that online. And then uh, my business partner Sharon, who's the more sort of visible of the two of us, she kept having people come to her like, "Oh, who built this?" And it's like, "We did. We built our own team to do this." It's like, "Can you help me with that?" "Oh, okay, sure." And it just sort of came. We gave birth to it out of that. It's like people just kept asking, so we're like, "Sure, we could do that." Then kept bringing on team to do it and all that. So we and part of it, I think, is just we see how they benefit kind of the people in their audience, and we sort of see what we do is almost like indirectly empowering their audience as well, helping them be able to help the people that they help. So we lately as well have gotten into the AI kick. Just really have kind of been seeing it as a means of really kind of people being able to leverage their time, their knowledge, and ultimately, be able to do a lot more with a lot less. So we've done some. It's funny that your brand is smarter without the E. We happened to build smarterautomation.com with the E uh, early this year, and had started doing chat GPT training on it, and offering sort of agency services to help businesses incorporate AI and build out AI tools. And we've been doing some interesting stuff with knowledge driven AI chatbots where we're working with experts who have like a vast amount of knowledge built up over time. So kind of like what you'd said as far as like books and podcasts and videos and all that stuff, and we are able to kind of sort through it, load it up into a chatbot, or load it up into a database that feeds into a chatbot that can basically help people with questions about the sort of stuff that they know. So we've got one client who's really sort of had a lot of ideas on that end, and we're kind of helping him flesh all those out. And so he's going to be building a lot of chatbots basically centered around, because he's got a lot of areas of expertise built up over time. So that's been kind of interesting. And then another client we've worked with for several years. He's in the affiliate marketing space, but he's always had kind of a big eye for building up tools that can really help affiliate marketers be able to do build up sites easier, run ads easier, all that stuff. So we're kind of helping with the technical back end of that, and being able to make tools that are a lot more capable and are able to automate a lot more. So so yeah, so it's there's a lot that we do, and then of course, you mentioned the domain side of things. That's actually my biggest, longest area of expertise. That's been 20 years, and my business partner, let's see, since 96, so 27 years for her. We used to buy and sell domain names. I mean, we still do. We still have a portfolio of it, but that used to be sort of our main focus. And from that, we've had a really good domain for a long time called motivator.com that we're about to launch as well. It's sort of self-development for, you know, business owners and professionals and just anyone who's kind of, like high achiever types. And we're building that out with a bunch of courses and a group coaching program, and we're going to be probably doing a lot of like yeah, a lot of interesting stuff on there. So just about to launch that in about a week and a half. So yeah, so kind of excited about that as well. But yeah, it's I kind of see myself as like I like to fill in the gaps. It's like with a lot of business owners where there's either stuff they don't like doing, they're not good at, or like they shouldn't be doing as a business owner, especially experts, if they're running their own show, and they're like having to do a lot of sales calls themselves for getting on coaching people, or clients or whatever, or they're having to do their own marketing or build up their website, or all this other stuff. And it's taking them away from where they're good, their area of expertise, to where it's like if they could focus on content creation, sort of like what you said, or just in general, it's like they may have ideas for things they want to build, but they just can't get around to it because they're too busy running their business. So we're able to help kind of empower them in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, that's that right there is that key differentiator, right? A lot of people call themselves entrepreneurs. And what they really are is just bad small business owners or freelancers at that. But one of the things, especially whenever COVID happened, and I can say this as a merchant processor, there were a lot of chargebacks during COVID because a lot of people that were employed became unemployed, and then they took on the moniker of entrepreneur. And whenever that happened, what a lot of those people did is they created services or businesses or makeshift businesses out of something that they might have been really good at, but they weren't good at business. And so they started selling whatever it was that they thought they were good at, and they sold it for a little while until they got a bunch of chargebacks and people were pissed off that they weren't following through. And so that's one of the things that I encounter a lot, not necessarily like in that group or anything like that, but just small businesses in general. Um, um, Whenever someone becomes like a quote unquote small business owner, they take on uh, this persona of texting you late and not sticking with commitments, and like you pay them to do something and then their kid got sick or they had to go to the hospital, and they make up reasons why they still you're holding your money, and but you don't have to deal with those things at Walmart. Like you might have to deal with a sarcastic attitude of a customer service person, but for the most part Walmart has their way of operating things, and when you go in the store, you expect to deal with those operating procedures, right? And so I always see that right there is what most business owners are missing, is they're good at that thing, but they're completely missing business and
Yeah.
everything that's involved in like keeping a business running or sustainable. And so that's also the reason why we shifted our focus. We shifted our focus a couple years ago. I used to be this angel investor that wanted to help everybody. But Steve, you lose $1.5 million over the course of a few years with whatever partners you're working with and whatever deals. And then all of a sudden you're just like you want to support everybody's dreams and everybody's hopes. But at the end of the day, it's like, who's actually in business and who's actually doing something? So it's what I like to do now. So I give content time to people that aren't really doing anything. And then another thing about people that haven't really learned how to make money yet is they always feel entitled to something for free. But then like business owners know that they have to pay for stuff. And so that's just, just conversations that I've been learning. But to go back to the very start of the conversation, we have an active portfolio. We mostly invest in digital products. And so like a lot of people think e-commerce, and you know the difference between the two. When people say e-commerce, I think of someone's Amazon store. I like WordPress plugins and AI tools that are launched on a website and somebody's charging $99 a month for it, but they don't know how to get customers. And so that's what our portfolio is consisting of. Um, and then as an investment firm, we just always have an active PPM open for investors. We have a couple of different products that, I mean, we're cash flow. We have multiple cash flowing companies, so we can offer investors um, either places where they can dump some cash for some long-term growth in stock, or we also have some note programs where we can pay out 8 to 12, up to 20% in some cases on whatever investment that they're using or that they're wanting to utilize. Um, Other than that, man, dude, I agree with you. I think it's cool that you're out there supporting businesses. And you're absolutely right. Um there's a lot more people that are out there kicking ass and taking names, and they're only like a one-man show than people really think. So I don't have any problem with it at all until they put themselves like they point themselves as a CEO on a business card. Then it kind of becomes kind of funny to me. I'm like, a CEO is an appointed position.
So just curious, because my father has actually been in working on renewable energy inventions. What specifically are you doing in that space?
Oh, a lot. Just creating power, man. We're actually at the point right now that we're about to patent. So it's not even anything that I have a conversation with besides my
Yeah.
investors. I mean, especially since we're recording this and this is going to be on TV. Like we're not there yet. But yeah, man, it would be something that I would love to have a talk with you about off camera if you would like sometime.
Okay. Yeah, I'd enjoy that. Yeah, my father's had inventions in that space. God, dating back probably 15 years, as in like he patents this whole time and dealing with building a prototype for one of them. He had a partner on the other one who kind of screwed him over to where he sort of abandoned that. And in the time waiting for that partner to bring their ass around, he basically um, came up with something better. And he's been working on building a prototype for that. So it's been sort of something that I've been kind of interested in, just sort of tangentially through him.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I was asking. I was just kind of curious. But
Yeah, I
okay.
mean, this like I try to base a lot of decisions off of the next stage, right? And so even our investment firm is making decisions differently. And a lot of that has to do with AI. Because everything's changed and business has changed. And so like we always have to certain people have the ability to like see forward, right? And you're one of those people too. And whenever I started seeing a lot of the AI tools that were available, and I thought about all the valuations that I put on companies based off of whatever metrics of data that they had, customers that they had, revenue that they were making, proprietary software, proprietary software. I realized like in the last 30 days that the word proprietary no longer exists. And so people that will come to you that will say, we have no competition because there's nothing out there like this, that world doesn't exist anymore. And that means that now we're coming into a world where literally everybody will have access to all the same tools that everybody else will have access to. So what will matter is, well, who's the leader? Who has the audience? Who can you find online? Who can I Google? Who can I see the most reviews about, the most testimonials about? if shoppers make a big majority of their decisions today based off of research online, and you spend your time helping experts put information online, then you know that the reason why they're doing that and the reason why you're helping them is because you should be doing that too, you know?
Mhm.
And so that's going to be like that next stage. Like I've talked to 3 people in the last week that all did social media marketing in some way or another. And then everybody in one way or another had some way that they were unique about doing social media marketing. And all I'm thinking to myself is until the right $200 motherfucking app comes out, and then all y'all are screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the direction that things are heading. Is but then at the same time, and you also realize this too, with all the AI tools that are available and all the people that you're servicing now doing social media marketing or whatever it is that you're doing, it's this much of the population. I mean, like less than 1% of people are using AI right now. But the only reason why we're hearing so much about it is because we're actually looking for the information. So now it's on our TVs and it's on our phones and it's on our this and it's on our this. But if you walk in a room with 1,000 people right now, 3 people in there would know what Chat GPT was. So, so
Yeah.
that
And two of those three would have still kind of have misconceptions about it
right,
and what it
two
really
of those
is.
three
So
would be using Chat GPT to get a good apple pie recipe. And not many of them, like whenever you get a chance, um or I'll text it to you since I have your phone number. I haven't been on social media in like 9 or 10 years, which is a testament to my career because I'm relevant, right? I mean, you can Google
mhm.
me and I'm all over the place, but so I just started a YouTube channel, meaning like I'm just now putting my first videos on there. One of the very first videos that I launched was an hour and a half conversation on Friday that I was having with a student, a data science student who's now one of our new associates. The entire hour and a half conversation is about AI. So you would enjoy it because it'll show you that, I have a little knowledge too. I think that I think anybody with a data background is probably going to use AI to its fullest extent, more so than your average everyday consumer. Like your average everyday consumer, it's almost like an advanced form of Siri, or I don't know. Like it's almost just like Siri. I mean, like there's if your average consumer just sees Chat GPT as Siri, except they have to sit down at a computer and type with it, so they're probably not using it. I don't think that your 9 out of 10 people, or 99 out of 100 people, or 999 out of 1,000 people quite grasp the concept of what they have the ability to do right now. And that right there is what's going to make the next set of business leaders, like whoever's taking advantage of AI right now, within the next 365 days, they're going to catapult so far ahead that no one will ever really be able to catch up with them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I think everyone's kind of feeling their way out with it and you know, trying to figure out how to get the best results from it. And I think that's part of where people are missing out is because they'll go to it, they'll hear about some use for it, they'll go to it, they'll just ask the straight question. They won't sort of, add any sort of qualifiers or do any sort of, prompt engineering or whatnot to get, like especially if they're using it for creating a blog post, for instance. And, it's like if they just say create a blog post about X, it's going to spit out basically this almost like old timey, long paragraphs and, very droll stuff, basically. And it's like, okay, I mean, it may be passable and it may be correct, but it's not going to be enticing in any way. And, they may put it up and wonder why it's like, people might be looking, but then they're not taking any sort of next action or they're not looking at any other articles on the site or anything like that. And they're wondering, like, why? Like, is this bad? Like, this must be bad. This tool sucks. And it's like, no,
Right.
you just don't know how to use it. And
Right.
it's a lot of people right now. We're all kind of trying to figure out, it's like what's the best way to use it. And
I compare it to someone I compare it to the old days. Like I'm a desktop guy. And I used to build my own rig. You know what that means.
Mhm. Mhm.
I used to carry my rig, man. I had handles on it. And so anyway, man, I used to whenever laptops first started coming out and then Apple started really making its way around, then everybody started advertising, like technology started advertising like Apple. And then I remember people started making their decisions on technology based around the way that advertising was happening because of Apple. And so what you would see is you would see these huge gaming desktop computers that were advertised with this much RAM and this much this and this much this and this much this. And then that's how people would make their decisions on making that purchase, right? And then they were taking that big ass $3,000 computer that they could have developed Toy Story on, and then they're taking it home and they're looking at Facebook. And I kind of feel like that's what's happening with ChatGPT. It's like your average everyday person is spending $5,000 on a gaming computer because they think that Google is the internet. And then that's what how they're making their decisions based on the use of the technology. And so that's what's happening with ChatGPT. And even right now, even like a lot of the beginning tools that are out there available, it's still all in the beginning stages, right? So now we're at the point where I think everybody's in a rush to make something interactive. And I see that that's where we are now. And you probably see that too. It's like we're all trying to use this regenerative technology to make something interactive. And we're close, but we're not there yet.
Yep. Yeah, getting close. And it's just interesting how quickly it's accelerating. I mean, just the fact that, you know, it's like, I mean, obviously GPT was around before Chat GPT, but then Chat GPT now it's not even been a year. Just looking at the date, it's like not because I think it was November last year. So it's like just how far things have come already. It's like soon it'll be, you know, AI generated video avatar talking to you. Like, I mean, I know there's already that out there, but it's still kind of cumbersome to use still. So it's only going to be a matter of time before that starts. And then of course, like the whole virtual reality type stuff. I mean, they're just going to figure out how many different mediums they can do this in, and it'll just be interesting to see how at what point things, because obviously right now it's just kind of an advanced autocorrect, or not autocorrect, but oh my god, autocomplete.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see when things actually get to the point where it's more like you know, like Alpha Zero is with chess, where you know it's able to really fully learn things and do them way better than people without much of any guidance, because I think right now it's still at the point where it needs guidance almost like ongoing. Like it's not necessarily like you know, you're probably not going to get an AI tool that's going to, you know, out of the box just produce like amazing blog posts without, you know, the right prompt. Basically it still kind of needs the person who kind of knows what they're doing to interact with it. But yeah, I wonder how long it'll take for things to get to a point to where it's actually going to be closer to actual AI, to where it's sort of really kind of learning the things that right now we're doing, and it'll be able to do them better than us. And then eventually combined with robotics to where robots will be doing things better than us. And then it's like, okay, you know, then we kind of get to the whole, how are we going to ease into post scarcity world where people don't have to work, but they still need the money. You know, it's like that's going to be kind of an interesting world. So that's the kind of stuff that I think about.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That's funny, man. Um, I didn't think whenever we first started the conversation that I would be wanting to stay on the phone with you. You just didn't look like that interesting of a guy, Steve. I got to tell you, man. You
it's my
fooled me.
plain name too, Steve Jones.
Right,
There's a
right.
million of me.
Steve Jones.
There's
It's so normal. It's just so like I don't know, so phone book. So anyway, man. put yourself on my schedule again anytime. Let's just start
All
discussing
right.
AI. Let's create some content about prompt engineering. I mean, anything that you want to do, you could be my new AI buddy, and we could talk about this. We could talk about this shit all day. But yeah,
Alrighty.
yeah. And I mean, even like the renewable energy project that I'm working on, like to me, it's like that next stage of society.
Mm.
And I think that that's what we're dealing with right now as a whole. Why there's so many angry people in the streets, and why there's war going on, and why, because society needs to change, and we've been holding on to this way of it for too long. And just like this conversation that I had with AI, and just like this conversation that I've had with people, I believe that AI is the next step in evolution because I have my own theories about evolution, and I go over them in that video that I'll send you a link to. Where I don't think that evolution is necessarily has to do with species dying out as much as it has to do with an exchange of information. And so an exchange of information can turn one species dominant or it can turn another species dominant. Whenever I look at the way people are making decisions right now, I see a world that's collapsing, and then I see a majority of people trying to clean it, trying to do better, and trying to use technology to make it better, which leads me to believe that that is evolution, right? That in and of itself is evolution because we don't have a bunch of companies that are going, ha ha ha, let's think of more ways to destroy the world. And we don't have a whole bunch of people that are like, I've thought of companies today that can just further destroy the planet. No, we all have this information that's being seeded in our minds to do better, to change, to grow up, to love more, to work with technology or whatever. And I believe that right now we're experiencing the next stage of evolution. Now, the unfortunate thing is in order for us to experience that next stage of evolution, we are going to experience a lot of stuff that we don't want to experience. And one of those things is depopulation. And Elon Musk talks about it, but everybody else is running away from it. And it's very simple to see that whenever you have multiple generations of divorce and single people that don't want to have kids anymore, and people that don't love each other anymore, and a world that's running out of oil, it's really easy to see how a civilization that only appeared in 1900 because of oil can disappear whenever all that oil goes away. And that right there is what people are completely blind to, bro. There's this much bigger picture going on right now, and it's causing everybody to argue with each other. And so I believe that the people that are going to get through this next stage in human evolution are the people that actually have their eyes open to what's going on around them. And that's like you and me, right? People that are actually staying ahead in technology, people that are investing in the next companies, people that are working on clean energy projects. Because people that have been laid off from a fast food job and they don't want to grow or they don't want to learn anything new and they're just sitting on mom's couch and they're expecting something, those people are going to have a really hard time getting along in a world that's based solely on performance. And that's the world we're coming to, man. People are going to have to start competing with robots. Not only are people going to have to start competing with robots and AI, it's going to become a sport, bro. This world is going to change, man. People are going to be playing football against robots. You're going to be like Jason said that on October 30th, 2023, but that's the world we're coming to.
Well, I think the interesting thing, when with Chat GPT, where I think, it's hit some people, I'm sure, but it hasn't hit a lot of people where, people thought some skills that they had were very unique and couldn't possibly be automated, couldn't possibly be done by AI or
We
anything
have
like that.
data analysts, like we have 50 data analysts sending us resumes a week, every week. And it's because their jobs have been replaced.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it just, people used to think that no possible way it could be automated or, AI or whatever. It's like, you know, this is valuable, it's always going to be valuable, et cetera. And I mean, it's, the history of humanity. It's like nothing's ever forever valuable. I mean, other than kind of, like you said, sort of knowing what's coming or kind of seeing where things are heading,
Yeah.
that's always going to be valuable.
Yeah, I had a guy a couple of weeks ago, Steve. He's like, Jason, I have a problem. He's like, I made a logo for this guy. He's like, I've been trying to get in contact with him. I try to text him. I try to Facebook him. I try to do this, this, and this. Dude owes me $1,500. And it's like, no matter what I do, I can't get in touch with him, man. How do I do it? And I'm like, this dude paid you $1,500 for a logo? And that's like, I couldn't get past that point. You know what I mean? I'm like, what world? Like what year is this? 2023? Like, I mean, even with the video editing software, it's like our video editor guy, like we're having him do very little work. And I mean, even whenever I started playing with Dolly 3 and the graphics generator, I was like, we don't even really need graphics people anymore. Like we need graphics people for this much. But like I was I was using Chat GPT, like I was trying to use the image generator to create a thing, right? And it's like no matter what I would say to that thing, I really couldn't create the image that I was looking for. So what I'd had to do was I had to utilize Chat GPT to create a team of people to discuss this thing to then give me an output that I could give to the image generator that was able to create the thing. So I was able to sit down and create my own team of engineers that allowed me to create the image, that allowed me to create that schematic, that first model. So yeah, man, I mean, like we're at the cusp of something big. Um, and I think that that big thing is cheap, cheap energy, cheap data, and like I said, we're about to just come into an age where everybody's going to be poor, and it's almost going to be acceptable that people are just living in pods, and people are going to live in a space that has enough room for them to slide into a bed and have a TV on a wall, and society will be perfectly acceptable of that, you know? But let's utilize Chat GPT and AI right now so that we have big houses and lots of land whenever that moment comes.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, just being on the right side of, leverage and figuring out how to, better leverage time. Because I mean, that's really what it amounts to is just the people who know how to use this stuff are going to be able to stretch their time so much because, these tools and automation and just in general, like, yeah, I mean, just they'll be able to do so much more than someone who just has no clue about this stuff. And I mean, even those people, it's like even if they know of the tools, I mean, just think of them using ChatGPT and just struggling, and it's almost like they can end up losing time from these tools because they don't know how to use them, even though these tools are freaking amazing. I mean, it's just
The best tool, the best tool that any inventor has come up with that I can see for business in the last 100 years, thousand, I don't even know when it's fucking invented. I mean, I might even have to look it up. I'll use Chat GPT. I'm about to tell you something profound, Steve. The best tool that was invented is used the same by everybody. And not only is it used the same by everybody, but it's a reflection of how they use every business tool. And that tool is the business card. I say that business cards should come in packs of six because people will buy 1,000 and then they'll give out six. And then they'll wonder why their business doesn't work. And then they'll throw a box of 994 business cards away and they'll believe that that business didn't work. When in reality, they gave the six business cards. Two of them went to their kids, one of them went to their wife, three of them went to potential prospects. They might have done business with one of them, but they didn't take business seriously, and that customer gave them a charge back. So then they're not in business. You like how we just ran a site, like we just brought it
Mhm.
all back around, the entire conversation. because that's how your average person treats business. And if your average person gets a box of 1,000 business cards because they're cheaper and then they only give out three, well, that's how your average person is going to treat Chat GPT. And
Yeah.
those average people are the whole reason why we're even on the phone, right? Because of the topic of my post. People saying
Yeah.
I'm interested and then not taking the initiative to actually doing something. Most people, you can look at a Facebook post of any tool that will help you grow your business, and you can look at the hundreds of people that are saying I'm interested. And if you are the one person that's willing to actually click on the learn more button, then you're 100 steps ahead in the game of business than anybody else, because they're all sitting there waiting for somebody to email them, you know? And those are the
Yeah.
typical people that are learning AI tools or not learning AI tools now. So,
Yeah, definitely.
all right, brother. Well,
All
hey,
right.
man, this was a lot longer than 10 minutes. All right, man.
Yeah,
I'll talk
thankfully
with
I
you
had the
soon.
time, but yeah, I really appreciate it. This is fun. So,
Yeah, my 3:30 canceled, so it was okay to roll over a little bit, but that works. So put yourself on my call anytime. Let's talk about some prompt engineering, okay?
okay, absolutely.
All right, later, Steve.